A person is a man considered according to the rank he holds in society, with all the rights to which the place he holds entitles him, the duties it imposes. So when you see the term persons spoken about in legislative acts, the will of man puts together, so that's whether it's the British Commonwealth or America, same deal. Natural person will be intended unless something appears in the context to show it applies to artificial persons. So in Western law, we have two persons, a natural and artificial. So every one of us should make sure we know which is the natural and which is the artificial person, for how it's applied. If that sounds a bit of a contradiction, because you know innately that you are a natural person, but you don't know you have become an artificial person in your mind. We've covered 6-7 months ago at great length brainwashing, how it works, how it's done to us, how we will accept and digest the most preposterous reasonings and end up spouting them off and following up with them, with lecturing other people about them, because of this ability to have our minds controlled by words specifically from other people. So you have to be a little bit on guard when you're listening to people speak. Make sure you're judging the words they're using and how they're rendering and what type of effect they're trying to have on your mind. What are they trying to get you to think? Barack Obama was about 6 or 7 times was using this type of brainwashing in his broadcasts and getting you to vote for him, that type of thing. And it's done now almost nonstop through our horrible media that we have. So this accepting an artificial person in your mind and functioning with them is part of the illusion we've all been put to in the brainwashing. So just keep that in mind as we go here. Now, the Dictionary of Canadian Law says, any person is a being that is capable of having rights and duties and is confined to that. Persons are of 2 classes only, natural persons and legal persons. That's legal in Western law. A natural person is a human being that has the capacity for rights and duties, or duties. A legal person is anything to which the law gives legal or fictional existence or personality. Now, that's quite a statement. Dictionary of Canadian Law. A legal person is anything to which the law gives legal or fictional existence or personality, with the capacity for rights and duties. The only legal person known to our law is a corporate, the body corporate, which you became from your parents' marriage licenses, 3-party contact with in every state you're in. But more specifically, you were surrendered as an article of commerce in payment to the international banking conglomerate. Everybody has the books on that, with the Synagogue of Satan at the helm here. So, we've all been signed away in payment of a debt. Now, Webster says a person is primarily the mask of an actor used on a stage. Now, you can look up 30 or 40 scriptures on what God says about persons. If you have respect to persons, you commit sin. Convinced of the law as transgressors, whoever shall keep the whole law offend, and this one point, guilty of all. Here we're having this respect to legal persons that we give the greatest accommodation to. Very clearly, at least these 1 or 2 dozen scriptures I've got here in this document of regarding not the person of man, that type of thing. So it's how there's no respect of persons with God, Romans 2, etc. So just before we carry on with attorney here, I just want to cover that a bit, because it may well be we don't understand some of these words correctly, and we're conned by it. So you're not to sit with vain persons, nor with dissemblers. With people who misrepresent and mislead and lie, that type of thing. Psalm 26:4. Because in the West, every law, statute, ordinance, rule, or bylaw is written in our laws by our legislature, and every right found in our constitutions applies to a natural person. You probably thought I was going to say artificial. And the deceiver of this world are not stupid, only you and I are that stupid. The artificial person cannot act. Only the natural person can act, and all legislation is called acts. You know, I think we all understand that. It's an act that's being proclaimed into a form of law. And the will is, however, the will of the artificial person, because the only person known to our law. It is a fiction. It's dead. We have to then, the natural person has to act for it, speak for it, think for it, because it is our behalf. You are your own behalf, which sounds a bit odd to our thinking. You are your own behalf. The artificial person actually is a graven image, and this image is a mask of you, appears on the face of it to be you. Only you, through your will and consent, create this image, and the image can only come from you. So I've come to the conclusion of, I started on this close to 20 years ago, discussing this with my father and sort of telling him what I was going to check out of the system and this, that, and the other. So it goes back a ways where it had plagued me a bit. And because it's difficult, our minds are so controlled by the education we get and this type of thing, where it's very difficult. We have created a false image of ourselves to work in a system that's in contradiction with the will of our Creator, I believe. Now, when you decide to leave or depart, the image remains because of the years of records. Your birth certificate is not a registration of you as a being. All it is a registration of an event that gives legal title to an international banking conglomerate and means that you and everything you possess is owned by the Crown, legally, who has sold it all away to the international banking conglomerate, meaning nobody in Canada, or nobody in the West, really probably most of planet Earth, owns any property. What you make with your hands and you've taken out of the ground is your private property. But as it's done by this image of you, this false image of you acting in corporate law, it actually is owned by the state. Who owns us as well? We are the property of the Crown in this place of Canada. The Corporation of America, and for all the U.S. brethren. So it's just keep that in mind as we carry on here with attorney. So an attorney general is an officer appointed to manage a business for the king, state, or the public. A letter of the attorney is a written authority from one person empowering another to transact business for them. The power of attorney. But attorney means to perform by proxy or to employ as a proxy, as on your behalf. Attornment is the act of a tenant by which he consents upon the alienation of the state to receive a new lord or superior and transfer to him his homage and service. Homage is submission, loyalty, service, which a tenant promised to his lord or superior, and he is the one who professes that he became his man. From that day forth, life and limb. Homage is the reverence directed to his supreme being. It is reverential worship, which is why we don't use the term reverend when we're addressing Trinitarian ministers who have given them the title reverend. I don't recall where the scripture is that it says only the Almighty may be held in reverence. We can revere the Almighty, then nobody else can use that as a title or a rank. They're not to be revered. You're not to use flattering titles in any event. So to understand the power of attorney, let's explain it this way. Your next door neighbor is an attorney. He's licensed to practice law. And a license is generally something given to do something that's illegal. That's what a license is generally done and used for. To represent another person in a court of law. He made an oath to uphold the law, in our case, Canada. He is a member of a self-governing